Welcome back, boys and girls, to episode 35 of the Nerd Chills podcast, I think. Pretty sure I'll have to check with my people on that. This is Adam Diaz, and with me, as per usual, is CJ. How you doing, CJ?
I am doing great. Happy to be sitting down in my relaxing chair after a pretty hectic week.
It was hectic for me as well. I will say happy Labor Day to everyone that's listening to this on the day it releases. It's a special holiday where I don't have to go to work for once, so I'm super fucking jacked. Sitting in the third chair, as per usual, is Charlie. Welcome back, Charlie.
Hello.
Hello. And sitting in the fourth chair, eating an apple turnover with a mouthful of food right now, is Robin. Welcome back, Robin.
Hello.
Hello. You pulled it off pretty nicely. I was thinking it was going to be more muffled. Yeah. So we have a good show lined up for you this week. I think it could be a huge turd. We're not exactly sure. This week's episode, we're going to debate the difference, or our preferences, maybe, between digital and physical. And when you're like, what the fuck is that, Adam? Whether or not I buy a digital copy of a video game or go to a store and buy it, and what the pros and cons are for that. It's something that's kind of a big topic when it comes to someone like Charlie, who works at a brick-and-mortar retailer. So we'll go really balls deep into that one. But to start out, we'll start with Robin. What have you been playing this week?
Fallout Shelter again.
You're back on the Fallout Shelter, huh?
Yeah. Played Mario Kart 8.
You did. You were playing a lot of Mario Kart. You were dominating, in fact.
Fuck yeah.
Good job. Good for you. First week of school, and you still got your Mario Kart chops.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
It's like riding a bike.
You never forget. Right on. Charlie, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I was gone for most of the week, but I did play a Harry Potter card battle game with Andrea. That was super fun.
That does sound super fun.
It was really long. There's like you basically complete like a round of the game, and then you have to open a second box and do like another round with more cards and more characters, and then so on and so forth. And it goes up to like 7. It took us like 3 hours, and we got to the 5th box.
Wow.
So it's pretty intense, but it's fun.
Did you have a wand?
No, unfortunately.
We can let you borrow that one that's right above my head if you need to.
I have a personal wand, and so does Andrea, so we could probably implement that, dress up in robes, get some, like, scars.
I think that get some scars. We'll just do them to each other so we can look super cool.
Harry Potter-style scars.
That's awesome.
But yeah, other than that, I've been playing Yonder, and then I haven't picked up my games yet this week, but I'm going to pick up a couple new ones, so I'll have those to talk about.
I have it on good authority that you played a tabletop game known as Marry, Bang, Kill, or Run, Fight, Die. I forget what it's called.
Yeah. We played more Run, Fight, or Die, which is super fun.
Yes,
and
it was very, very fun.
I played a lot of Cards Against Humanity. That doesn't count for anything, but, it's a game.
Do you guys have that rule where someone has to drink or slap themselves in the face every time they're like, oh, if only I would have had this card last round?
Unfortunately, there was no drinking involved, but if we had done that, everyone wouldn't have been good to drive because it was like a pretty common thing to the point where like we didn't even say it after the 3rd or 4th round. We were just like,
It's like slap yourself in the face. Just a really quick round of Russian roulette every time, and by the end of the game, everyone's dead. But right on.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you so much. And CJ, what have you been playing this week, bro?
I have been playing Madden 18 off and on with a couple friends, and I have been playing the Call of Duty World War II beta. That's really
how's that going for you,
bro? Really fun. I'm glad that the game is returning to its roots with no more jetpacks and crazy guns and crazy kill streaks. It's just nice to play a normal Call of Duty game, and so far it's been good. It looks good graphically. There's a couple things that hopefully they get fixed between now and the game, but they still have like 2 months, so I think they'll make sure the changes get made that everyone is crying about on the Reddit forums.
Right on. Good to know. As for myself, I sat down. I realized that my PSVR headset cables have been chewed by my cat and realized that I can't play those. And I was just looking at Horizon Zero Dawn. And I was like, look, CJ's going to start playing this. Charlie's been asking to play it. She got it for you for your birthday. You need to make a decision. So I sat down. I turned my system on. And I finally started playing Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. Because I've had it for like 2 years, and I've never played it. And it turns out, it's really fucking fun.
Is that how long it takes? 2 years?
Honestly,
I'll mark my calendar.
By the time I'm done with the Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War will be out, and I'm just gonna head right into that one.
You bastard.
So 90-second review for Horizon Zero Dawn will be here on Labor Day 2018, 2019 maybe. We'll see how that goes. Aside from that, we played some tabletop games. We said that we were going to play a game last episode directly after we recorded, which we did, which was that Battle Mage game. I forget what it's called.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what that card game is called. It's
We
got
will-
a really
It's
long and
amazing.
intense
It's got a crazy name. It's like
title.
Battle Wizards, Spell Battle Galore, or something like that. We'll look it up. We'll have it on the website.
Sounds fucking awesome.
But essentially what it is you can play 1, 2, or 3 cards. If you play 3 cards, you have to pick a beginning, middle, and end of a spell. And each part of the spell gives you like a different effect, whether it's healing or damaging, and it deals different damage based off of like just the roll of a d6 or regular dice. And it's just last man standing. So we played for like 3 hours, and we probably played maybe 20 rounds or 20 games where it's like last person standing, and it was really goddamn fun. We really had a good time with it.
It is called Epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards. Yeah, that's it.
Epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was way off. Mine sounded stupider. But yeah, the game was very, very fun. What's that?
Is stupider work?
I don't
The
know.
specific one we were playing is called Duel at Mount Skullsfire. I will say the mountain that you have is just like 2 pieces of cardboard set up for like ambiance. I don't really know what the purpose is.
I felt like I was living there. To
Yeah.
be honest, so it was amazing.
Yeah.
Aside from that, nothing really. I played a little bit of Mario Kart with Robin here and there, which was fun.
Yeah.
But that's about it for what I've been watching, what I've been playing. What I've been watching, I don't really think a whole lot. Didn't go see any movies. I've been watching some of this Heartland garbage in the background while my mother and Robin enjoy having it on.
Eh.
So that's really about it. Nothing big and exciting for me for what I've been watching. CJ, you been watching anything, bro?
I have been cruising through Game of Thrones. That's about it. I'm
Nice.
2 episodes away from 7, so then I'll be all caught up and ready to go. And
I saw only a handful of people on the interwebs complaining, and essentially the only people I saw complaining about the season finale were the same people that are like, season 7 has sucked. And it's funny to me because the people who don't like action and like political intrigue, some of them are saying they didn't like this season, and people who like only action and no political intrigue didn't like parts this season because it wasn't the parts they liked.
Right.
So I'm like, whatever, it's just you're not getting an episode that you like. It's like, there's no action. Like, I need dragons.
We were
There
watching.
was action though.
Yeah, the season as a whole, I think, was very strong, and I really enjoyed the finale.
We were
So-
watching Hard Knocks, and even the football players on Hard Knocks was like,
Everyone is obsessed with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like, Hard Knocks is awesome because it's, like, up to date. So they were literally, like, talking about it on the sideline, and one of the linebackers like, no spoilers, don't say a fucking word. I don't want to know what Khaleesi does. And then they all start flapping their wings, and he's like, it's too much. It's already too much. Shut the fuck up. It's so fucking funny. So, yeah, that's fun. Charlie, what have you been watching?
I'm still watching South Park because I can't quit it. But I did finally finish a show. My sister. So let me backtrack. I watched a show a long time ago on Hulu called The Good Place. It's an NBC show, and it just got put onto Netflix.
It's amazing.
Yes.
We did watch that, actually,
Aha.
when it was
out on
out.
TV.
Yeah, I rewatched some of those episodes with our house guests who decided to watch it for the first time.
Yeah, so we finished. I finally finished the first season because I'd gotten through almost all of the first season on Hulu, and then I just dropped off and forgot about it. So I finished it.
What a twist.
Yeah, I know. It was a good ending. I'm really excited for the next season.
And it starts in
that'd
like
be
2
so
weeks.
freaking cool.
Yay! South Park starts in like 2 weeks too.
I'm like fucking 3 seasons behind on South Park.
Jeez.
I know I need to get my shit together. Robin, what have you been watching?
I've been on a ridiculous anime binge. So I watched Blame, which is like a Netflix original movie, and it's freaking amazing.
Describe Blame to us. What is that about?
Blame,
Blame?
Blame.
Lame? L-A-M-E?
I fucking.
What is Blame about?
It's like. It's the world after something infected all the humans. And so
I'm hooked.
this city, right? All the humans are dead, and this city is like this self-replicating city, and so it keeps growing out, and like it just keeps building itself. And then there's just this small group of humans that are left that have found like this safe haven, and it's been like hundreds of years. So they, like, the kids now have no idea what the world was like before. And they have to like go scavenge and stuff for food, and like the main part of it is they meet this guy that's like, seems like part robot type dude, but he tells them like, this is what we need, like, I'm looking for this, and they kind of helped him do that. I don't know, it's really cool. It's a Netflix original. And then I'm watching Blue Exorcist now.
Cool.
Yeah, that show is pretty good.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I happen to have left out one thing I did watch, and that was the Death Note movie. I did decide to watch it just
to
drive Robin crazy, and I have
So
never
bad.
seen an episode of Death Note. I know the entire premise of Death Note, never seen it, so I watched the movie. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm sure it's not a true adaptation to the source material at all. But for something that's like a really abbreviated 2-hour series, where you try and wrap everything up, I thought it was fun. And Willem Dafoe is the voice of the demon, and I thought it was funny just to talk about how much I liked it, to drive Robin fucking crazy. And then we decided to watch the Death Note anime together, and we started watching it, and everything that's different, I'm like, this show's bullshit. That's not how it went. And she just kept getting madder and madder.
It's so stupid. Like, so, okay, we're going to go on a movie tangent here, but like, Death Note, the Americanized Netflix movie bullshit.
The whitewash version.
It's like they made all the characters, it was based in America, but they had to somehow add in the fact that he named himself Kira, which is, if you spell it in katakana, is killer in Japanese, and he had to like bring that up. Whereas like in the original version, they're all Japanese, like it's just straightforward. And then they don't change the names of all the characters. It's like, if you're going to create a whole brand new storyline, make whole brand new characters in America.
So you wouldn't have been mad if they would have done that? Or
Yeah,
would you
if
have
they
been
had
mad
made their own thing and made it completely original, that's fine. But they didn't. They were like, let's take parts of the original story and let's keep all the characters the same. And it was just like, I hate you. Please, whoever decided to do this, die in a fire.
Wow, it's pretty intense, right?
Yeah, no, it was horrible. I hated it.
I thought it was okay. I didn't mind it.
I fucking hated it.
I would watch it again. I really would, just because it would make her so mad if I did. So
I just want to bring up as what I'm not watching portion of the segment is my mom did something that so many of us have done, and I think she did it for the first time. Her and my grandmother watched a Netflix documentary and have since decided to go vegan.
Oh,
wow.
no.
And I got a rambling text message on Wednesday afternoon about how they're going vegan and it's going to fix their whole lives and it's going to fix every ailment they've ever had. And I was just like, oh, man.
Did you text her like, you should do CrossFit, too?
I was just like, who hasn't been there? Like, we all watched Blackfish and decided never again SeaWorld. Like, we all watched a Netflix documentary and decided to try and change our lives for like a week.
Yeah, I decided I was going to try and frame someone for murder since it looks really easy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow, this is so revelationary.
That was my first... That was my first point of reference, was like, who hasn't watched a documentary and been like, I could totally murder somebody.
All right. This looks easy.
So yeah, we'll see if that sticks. I thought it was hilarious.
I'm going to say...
I would have just replied,
no.
Bacon.
Bacon? Really? Bacon.
I honestly didn't reply. I was just like, oh, geez. We'll see.
That's so great.
We'll see you in a week when you're withering away.
So
you're begging me to buy food.
That's everybody for what we've been watching. We're going to move on to a segment that we haven't had in a little while, Top 7. A friend of the show sent in a Top 7.
Whoa.
Actually, my friend Lucas sent one in. Number 7, NHL 98. He said, on Sega Saturn, truly one of the only games my family and I could ever agree on. We would spend hours playing each other and yelling, quoting the movie Swingers. That's hilarious. Number 6, Excite Bike. I fucking love Excite Bike. The game with the first level builder. Friends and I would spend hours as kids trying to see who could make the levels with the biggest jumps. Number 5, Mega Man 2. He says, I don't need to follow this up with anything. It's fucking Mega Man 2. Number 4, and I thought Charlie would be interested in this one, Infamous 2. He says, I have only ever brought myself to play through the game Evil once. The showdown at the end between Cole and his best friend Zeke brought me to tears. Zeke, who knows he has no chance against the supercharged Cole, still stands up to his best friend knowing it's coming, knowing his death is coming. And the line that broke my heart, twice as bright, half as long. Number 3 for Lucas, BioShock. A man chooses, a slave obeys. That's all he puts, and that's awesome. Number 2, Metal Gear Solid. The game that started the craziest conspiracy in the history of games. And number 1, and I knew he was going to pick this as number 1, Final Fantasy VII. Lucas says, I truly believe about 4 of these top 7 could have been Final Fantasy games, but I saved it all for this. I've always preferred games with a strong storyline over any flash or multiplayer anything. There are so many reasons for this to be my number 1, from the lost anti-hero who thinks he is someone else the whole damn time to the unhinged villain who honestly thinks he is a god and that the earth is his birthright. I have played this game many, many, many times and have loved it, all of them. Though I am looking forward to the remake, I'm also dreading it. I don't want a reimagining. I want the story that I love, and I know I'm not alone. Only time will tell. And this is why I love Lucas from the bottom of my heart. He puts, one final note. I do believe that Tom Hiddleston isn't a very exclusive club. His rendition of Loki puts him up in the top movie villains of all time. He is up there with Heath Ledger's Joker and Pfeiffer's Catwoman. Now, having said that, when it comes to looks, he is nothing compared to Chris Hemsworth. Hemsworth may honestly be a god among men.
Oh my god.
I fucking love you to death, Lucas, and you're absolutely right about that.
That's going to be a permanent part of the top 7. It's like
Right.
top 7 and who's hotter?
Who's your favorite
Loki or
Hemsworth?
Thor?
Loki or Thor? I need to know.
Oh my god. Oh, that would be so funny if there were just a million tweets that were like Loki or Thor.
That's how we make our bones on the tweeter. Is people
On the
actually-
tweeter?
On the tweeter. That's what I call it.
Yeah, Infamous 2 is super interesting. I've actually never played through as evil. I'm not good at that. I don't play games as evil. I'm a super straight edge person, I guess, in that regard. Like, I can't play as evil characters. But that's kind of like cool to imagine that scene, and it makes me want to play it as evil just to see that. But maybe I'll just, YouTube the cutscenes, because,
You can.
yeah.
That way you don't have to go through and play an entire game in a way you don't want to. It's one of the things we can be thankful that YouTube exists for.
I know.
So that was the top 7. Again, thank you so much for sending it in, Lucas. Really appreciate it. Anyone else who wants to send in their top 7, we would be more than happy to read them on the air.
And your who's hotter.
And
Yeah.
who's hotter?
We need to know who's hotter, Loki or Thor, and which Hemsworth. We need to know. And anyone else you want to toss in there, I guarantee we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Unless we don't know who those people are. So that's it for what we've been watching, what we've been playing, our top 7s, and who's hotter. We're going to move right along into Xbox news, and there's not a whole lot of it, but I'll let CJ handle it.
Wait. First, I want to ask CJ, did you keep your PS4 that you bought, or did you return it?
I still have it.
Wow.
Yep. So
Are you going to actually play something on it?
I have. I bought 2 games today. I bought pre-owned copies of the Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 like remasters, and Horizon Zero Dawn. So Tuesday and Wednesday, my next 2 days off coming up, I plan to sit down and play some games, but we're still not very friendly. I thought, out of all my friends in the world, I thought at the bottom, because she still doesn't like me too much, was Charlie. But now she at least beats my PS4, so
How so?
we're getting there.
I mean, what do I need to do to compete?
That's hilarious.
I think you're doing just fine. You gave me hopefully a good if this recommendation you gave me sucks, then it might surpass you.
If it sucks, then you're broken as a person. I don't know what to tell you. That game is fire.
As a person.
Might I suggest you play Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor?
Yeah.
It is fire. It is so good.
To be fair, Adam is still farther than me because I haven't even put it
Installed
in
it
yet.
yet.
So
Wow.
you're still farther than me, but I plan to surpass you on Tuesday, my friend.
It'll probably happen.
Say, calm down, boys. There's no Horizon Zero Dawn for everybody.
So right on. Okay, moving into Microsoft news. CJ, what do you got for us?
I have one lonely but lovely article, and it is about a partnership between Samsung and Xbox that is going to kind of lead the way for the Xbox One X 4K, I guess, kind of premiere gameplay. So Samsung, for their 2017 TV lineup, has introduced QLED, which is kind of like one step up. It's like 4K, but it's a step above 4K because it includes HDR, which is still a Xbox One X feature that it's capable with 4K HDR. So Samsung will be is the only TV with it right now. So when you purchase one of those and you have your Xbox One X, you'll be able to kind of have it, like, compared to sitting someone else on a normal 4K TV, it's going to look a lot better. And I mean, that's really, they just kind of keep going on and telling you constantly about how it's going to look good, how it's going to look good, blah, 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 blah.
I know with QLEDs, the quantum LED it's like the quantum lighting technology. It basically brings, or quantum dot technology, it makes it so that you can have an actual 100% color value. So it's like the top of the line thing out there right now.
And your Xbox One X and your Samsung QLED TVs, as soon as you basically plug your HDMI in to the TV, they sync up, and no matter if you're watching TV and you have it on a custom brightness setting or a custom color setting or movie setting, or like no matter what you're doing, the second you switch to your Xbox, it's going to know what kind of game you're playing, and it's going to adjust the color. So if you're playing a scary game, it might give you like some deeper colors, or if you're playing like a really bright game, like something like a Mario or something. I guess you can't play Mario on the Xbox, not Mario. What am I thinking of? I can't remember. But anyway, if you're playing like a more upbeat game, it's going to get brighter colors, and I think it's going to be really cool that your TV is going to adjust to what your Xbox is showing. So I might just have to purchase a QLED TV, although I don't like playing my consoles on TVs because it just looks gross, so maybe they'll come out with a QLED monitor.
Well, let me know when you're ready to sell your old TV, because it looks like these ones are retailing for somewhere between $1,800 and $20,000.
No big deal.
So
what the fuck?
It's top of the line technology.
Depending on how that goes, you could, for just the small price of $20,000, though, have a 88-inch.
Or 2.5 of Wade's dick.
Oh my god!
So yeah, there's that.
Oh god.
So we've let Aria the cat into the recording studio because her and Robin had a dispute about who would be the fourth chair, so she's going to be our fifth chair. So if you hear some meowing in the background, there she is. Cool. So that's Xbox news. We're going to screen. We're going to move right along into PlayStation news.
God.
Don't eye roll. I'm sorry, okay? My brain's not working
eye
today.
roll.
You're like,
Okay, so mostly the Sony news is VR news, which is kind of weird. They announced the September lineup for PlayStation Plus titles, which include a VR title.
That's awesome.
Riggs is going to be free this month. And then, aside from that, Infamous Second Son, which, as we talked about last week, is one of my favorite PS4 games. I'm super excited. Maybe I'll finish it.
Friggity free.
And Strike Vector EX, or X. I don't really know which one they say. But I don't know anything about that game. I just know Infamous is really good, and Riggs is supposed to be a pretty solid VR title, and I'm kind of excited for it because I'm about to get a VR. So yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm a
That's
downloader.
really, really awesome. They're going to start putting VR games into the free games of the month.
It's super smart for them to do that, to encourage people to get VR. And another way they're encouraging people to get VR is my next piece of news, which is that the VR just took a $50 price drop.
Hooray!
So they start off now at $350, and you can get the one with the camera for $399. And I'm sure that they'll have even more bundles and stuff coming for the holiday. I wouldn't see why not. And then the next piece of VR news is that they are, Sony is saying that they are still super focused on AAA VR titles. Now, that being said, their version of AAA includes some other games that they've put out, like Farpoint, which I wouldn't consider AAA. It might be AAA in its production or production value.
Right. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
But I wouldn't say it's AAA in sales. Maybe for the VR, it's a AAA title compared to what else they have on there. But I still would say that the best or biggest, as far as name recognition, title that's been on VR is Resident Evil 7. No one stopped that yet. They've yet to make a lot of mainstream titles for VR, but some of their stuff coming out does look really cool. So I'm kind of interested to see
I have a question
how they
on
turn out.
VR for
Yes.
Adam, since he's the only one who owns one. So at my GameStop, there is a pre-owned one. Do you think purchasing a pre-owned one would be smart? Because I don't know what people do with their heads and stick them in a VR.
I mean, as long as you checked it and just made sure it's been cleaned, I have no problem buying a pre-owned one. Especially since, you have the guarantee on it. Take it back in 30 days if you don't like it. I'm sorry, 7 days if you don't like it. And then the 30-day warranty regardless of if you buy an additional one. But yeah, I would totally do that. I would check it to make sure it's not, really gross. But if it wasn't, I'd be totally for it.
I will say that all the ones that GameStop trades, they have to send in. They can't just resell them. It's like one of those things where they automatically send it back to the warehouse for any kind of cleaning or refurbishing. So they're all going to be fairly new feeling. That being said, I checked today, and because of that price drop, the pre-owned one has yet to take a price drop. So right now they're like the same price. So in that regard, it wouldn't make sense unless you're not sure you want it. Then you have the week with the pre-owned.
Right. Good point.
Gotcha. All right.
And then the last bit of Sony news I have is about how they're making a Voltron game for VR.
What?
Dang.
Which looks really interesting. I think it will be really cool to see that kind of animation style in a VR game. They haven't really had that. They've been trying to make pretty realistic looking things so far. So I think that'd be really cool. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know if I see it selling a lot. But it's a cool concept. Hopefully it'll turn out all right.
Yeah, the install base isn't too monumental for VR, but I can imagine that people that do have VR would want to purchase something like that. So, I mean, I would.
Yeah.
If my VR hadn't been chewed by this goddamn cat.
But yeah,
so how do you get new cables for that?
It was literally the cable that's connected to the headset, so I will need to request a new headset via Sony. So I will let you know how that goes, because I don't know if it's going to be something that they can fulfill. But if anyone out there that's listening, of all our dozens upon dozens of listeners works for Sony, go ahead and hook a brother up. Cool. And that's everything we have for Sony, huh? That was all VR news.
It's literally
It's
all.
like they kept it all for this past week.
I swear, that's all I could find.
Right on. I don't have a ton of Nintendo news. I will say, though, that they had the Nintendo Indie Summer Showcase, or Nindies. There wasn't anything really, really big. They did announce Super Meat Boy Forever. That's going to be out in 2018. On the Switch, Super Meat Boy is very, very fun. It's also very, very fucking hard. The one thing it does have going for it is there's like not a loading screen to get back into the game once you die. So you can just keep going back and dying over and over, which is kind of fun sometimes. Shovel Knight is going to have an upcoming campaign, Shovel Knight King of Cards. That is also supposed to be coming out in 2018 for anyone who's a fan of Shovel Knight. Excuse me. There's going to be another title known as Kentucky Route Zero TV Edition, which just sounds bizarre, but check it out. There's a game called Mulaka, Mulaka, a very strange but promising Attack on Titan-esque 3D shooter called Morphe's Law, so similar to Murphy, but Morphe instead. And the YouTube trailer of it does have like two giant luchador type characters standing next to like a giant building, so apparently you fight them. Another one called Battle Chef Brigade, which does look kind of interesting. It combines destroying things and fancy cooking, which could be fun. And then No More Heroes Travis Strikes Again will be coming in 2018. It's the third installment in the series that originally came out in 2008 and 2010. That's what they announced during the Nindies. Yeah, I know. But nothing too big. No one really expected anything from the Nindies that's going to be like earth-shattering, because they don't have like anything out there. The guy who wrote the article that I'm reading from is like, if I could just get some Hyper Light Drifter action on the Switch, I'd be happy. But they do have Oceanhorn on the Switch, which is another game that's similar to Hyper Light Drifter in the fact that it's kind of a Zelda ripoff. They have another one called Kamiko, Kamiko, which is very similar in art style to Hyper Light Drifter. So if anyone else is looking for Hyper Light Drifter on their Switch, check those two out. The other article I have is regarding Nintendo Switch versus PlayStation 4 in Japan. And they're still showing the pacing of the two systems. And the reason this is significant is because when we talk about the console battle as it currently sits, with PlayStation crushing Microsoft, and Microsoft slowly closing the gap and hoping that they can catch up by the end of the console generation, it's that what really helped was the way Sony started. Because Sony started basically going back to basics, making everything about the fucking gamer, making everything about games again, and then now Microsoft's trying to adjust course, and because of that, they're in this huge hole. Well, this is some interesting stuff, because I know we read off some of these numbers, but at this point, when Sony was out, at this point in Japan, when PlayStation was still selling, in the 26th week, they sold 6,913 consoles. Switch sold 70,000 in Japan this past week. And then previous weeks have similar gaps. And the biggest one that's most notable is the 24th week, in which Sony, in their 24th week, sold 5,695 consoles, and Nintendo Switch sold 87,798. So as much shit as we give them for not having this thing readily available, they have a fuck ton of these things available, and they are just shipping them to the home country where they're doing really, really well, and they're doing really well over here right now too.
Availability has definitely been getting a lot better. I've been noticing that a lot more. I think at this point, every retailer has had it pretty steadily through the last month or so, I'd say. So hopefully that's a good sign. What else was I going to say about that, though? I'm still worried. Like, a bunch of indie games getting announced is still frustrating to me. We'll see.
Right.
I've already started to experience a few more people saying, like, there's just nothing out for it. A lot of people buying whatever is out. So,
that's why I came in and bought Mario Kart, because I was like, well, there is stuff out for it that I just haven't bought yet, like Splatoon 2 or Mario Kart, and now Mario and Rayman Raving Rabbids Battle Kingdom Warrior Galore, which
super
looks
fun time, wow.
super fun time, which does actually look really, really fun. So I think there's stuff out there. I think that just you're going to have to understand that third-party support is going to come through the eShop, and it's not going to be AAA-style titles, at least for the first year, and I think it's going to be fine.
I just think indie developers are very likely to develop on it because it's so easy to develop on, because it is pretty much Android-based.
Right.
So I think that's cool that they're going to have all those titles to choose from. I just think they need bigger titles.
Yeah, I agree. And hopefully, something like Super Meat Boy, the sequel, and Shovel Knight sequel isn't going to sell a bunch of Switches, but it'll at least satisfy this user base, because the Switches seem to be selling just fine on their own. Yeah. In Japan, it's already sold. I just closed the article, but it's already sold around 1.6 million in Japan alone.
That's nuts.
And at this point, during PlayStation's life cycle, they are just under 600,000, which is just substantial, especially when we keep saying, like, put these in people's hands. Now they are. Now if they can get their third-party developer shit figured out, which, like, Ubisoft is all about it, especially since they let them make just a really weird title that people are really enjoying. I think it'll really, really help Nintendo in the long run, because if they're in the console war for the long haul, I think they could honestly set their sights on trying to catch up to Microsoft at this point, because they're really, really selling well, and they're trending even further up as the time goes on.
Oh man, wouldn't that be a twist?
That would be quite the twist. So that's everything for Nintendo news that I have. One thing that's near and dear to my heart, because I do love this series with my heart and soul, is regarding the season finale of Game of Thrones, which we kind of talked about a little bit. No spoilers here, but I will say that it did set a record for the highest recorded ratings on a Sunday night, with a total of 16.5 million viewers tuning in to watch the season finale, which is higher than the previous record that it had set itself last season at 12.1. I can only imagine what the series finale is going to garner. It might be the highest. It might be the most watched show of all time on a network you have to pay to watch.
We'll find out in 2 years.
Right? 1 year.
1 year? Okay.
Yeah, it just feels like 2 years. It's so long. So, okay. Getting my shit back together. Anyways, they are averaging more than 30 million eyes in delayed viewing, which is on average 8 million more viewers. So people who aren't watching as the episode airs, watching either on HBO Go, Hulu. I think they have Hulu episodes posted
Hulu partners
later.
with HBO now.
Yeah, and then anyone who's basically DVRing this and then watching it later. That's not even including these guys. It's just insane how many people watch this show.
I think it'll be interesting to see how HBO's numbers are affected by that show ending.
Yeah, that is very significant. Like, they keep trying to push the other shows as, like, the next Game of Thrones, like Westworld. So people will watch it, and then people will try and find that show to watch once Game of Thrones is gone. I think this is bringing over a lot of the Sopranos crowd.
Yeah.
And it's bringing over a lot of the Wire crowd, because, for those of you who don't know, the actor who played Littlefinger played a very prominent role on The Wire, if you've never seen The Wire. Very similar character, a politician who fucks with people. So it's just really, really cool to see something that... Stefan, one of our viewers, or I should say one of our listeners, had told me, like, oh, you should read this series. It's completely different than anything else you've ever read. And me actually having listened to him really paid dividends, and it's just really cool to see other people enjoy this. So cool. What do you think, Robin? It's like when the teacher calls on you in class and you're not paying attention.
It got awkward real quick.
I love you. Kind of. Moving right along, Sea of Thieves is looking to launch with an optional...
I'm sorry, what was that?
Sea of Thieves
Thank you.
is looking to launch with an optional 540p mode with a 15 frames per second lock. I don't know why, so if anyone out there who's a PC user would like to let me know why you would like to lock your resolution to something that low and your frame rate is something that low.
Better online play.
I really don't get it. It says, despite sounding like
Minecraft
a marketing
mode.
term... Yeah, right? Like, it's so fucking weird. The article says, despite sounding like a marketing term, the game's PC design team lead tells me no asterisk instead of an indicator of inclusiveness across desktops, consoles, no matter the hardware you're playing on. So I actually do think it's for cross-platform play to make things move smoother. Of course, it's going to look great in 4K and 60 frames per second, but it also looks great at minimum spec because the art style is purposefully timeless. So I guess for people with low-end PCs, they'll still be able to play this game, which is good because I have a PC that's like 6 fucking years old. I still will want to play on Xbox One, though.
Purposefully timeless. That is a good term.
Yeah, purposefully timeless. We are purposefully making this not look good. So it looks really good.
Yeah, no, it does. It looks good for the graphic style they're going for, but I just think that's a fun way to describe it.
Right. I will say, though, when you're watching the ocean, when you're on the ships, because sometimes you have to sail a really long way to do anything, the ocean looks fucking fantastic, so you can just get caught up watching it.
It's that Minecraft ocean.
What's that?
I said it's that new Minecraft ocean.
The ocean is the only thing that doesn't look Minecrafty in the game. I will say that, because everything else looks pretty good.
Now Minecraft, with the new super duper graphics, Minecraft doesn't look, or Minecraft Ocean looks like
I forgot
now.
Minecraft 4K.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
I've seen it. Features now. So the next bit of entertainment news is that I found this article really interesting. Stephen King is working on taking back the movie rights to his classic books. This includes Shawshank Redemption, Misery, The Lawnmower Man, Firestarter, Running Man. So some of those didn't turn out so great. And he's also, let me add in The Dead Zone, Cujo, Creepshow, Children of the Corn, Cat's Eye, and I already said Firestarter, but here we go.
Children of the Corn could be a really good remake because that shit is scary as fuck.
Yeah, I think that so many of his stories are like amazing and horrifying, but some of the adaptations have not been done super well. So I'm really interested to see what he does with it, and I think it would be a good move. Unlike George Lucas, that's the only thing I can liken it to.
Right.
Him taking back control of his copyrights, I think would be really interesting and cool, and maybe he would write new material or change things around or just...
What I think is super interesting is that this new It movie that's going to be coming out very soon, he had no involvement with. And all early reviews for this movie are through the fucking roof. They are saying this movie is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
I personally can't wait to see it. And it's funny that at a time when something looks to be about to have a huge success, when he didn't have any involvement in it, now he's like, well, I want to get involved with all of my old projects again. And it's like, It doesn't always work out, Steven.
Well, apparently he started this process back in 2016. But the interesting part is that if anyone wants to make a remake, they now have to contact him and figure it out through him, which I think is cool because remakes, they just make so many of them.
Right. It's bound to happen sooner or later for everything.
And I don't know. I understand why he would care to do this. And I think it's interesting, and it'll change a lot of his projects, but hopefully they'll keep making them because he's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy made it. He made Shawshank Redemption. He made The Stand. I mean, when I found out that he wrote Shawshank Redemption, I was literally blown away. Just because, like, that movie is so incredible, and it's not a horror. Everyone associates Stephen King with horror, and it's like that. I mean, it's different a little bit in the book, but for the most part, that is, like, one of the most faithful adaptations of his work on film. Except that they cast Morgan Freeman as Red, and everyone was super fucking pissed because Red is an Irish guy in the book, and they even make a joke about it in the movie where they say, "Why is your name Red?" And he says, "Maybe it's because I'm Irish," because that's the actual line from the fucking book, and that's what they left it as, because they're just like, he's the best actor for the job, and guess what? He's super famous and well known for that role now. So, anyways, moving on.
In Shawshank Redemption news.
Right, in other Shawshank Redemption news. Andy's farts never made noise after that.
What the fuck?
The final piece of additional news that we have this week is regarding Destiny 2 and some of the things that have been going on during the beta. There is an aim assist that occurs when you are using a controller versus using a mouse and keyboard. The aim assist is something that PC users have been kind of pissed off about because it's kind of like supposed to level the playing field and instead grants an unfair advantage to people playing with a console. Mm-hmm. And now PC gamers are finding ways during the beta to trick the game into assuming a controller is plugged in, which gives PC users that have mouse and keyboard an aim assist, which is essentially an aimbot, where it just snaps the reticle towards the head of one of the players that you're aiming at. This is an especially this is what the article says regarding this. This is especially grievous to those players participating in player versus player, as it provides an unfair advantage, which is why some PC players want aim assist disabled entirely in PvP. It's one of those things where if Destiny is trying to become an esport and esports are being taken seriously, they need to figure this shit out and they need to do it quick.
Yeah, because so as someone who's played both, because I played the Xbox beta and I've played the PC beta the other day. The aim assist, I've never seen it so bad. Like, it is insane.
Yeah, and it's like the community manager says, it's a conversation we will continue to monitor. Please continue to share honest feedback about your experiences in the wild. It's like, I don't think they're taking it as seriously as they need to.
People just shitting on it, because I have a couple recordings that I can put up on the Nerd Chills YouTube, and it is just insane how quick these people just snap right to your head and just boom, boom, dead. I mean, it's funny because, like, even playing Battlefield 3 back in the day on PC, you had to download Punkbuster, which would ban people if they were using any of the aimbots. So people would always try and stay ahead of it by getting a new version of their aimbot. But as soon as Punkbuster came out, it would literally ban their IP. Because if it caught you using one, you'd be gone. And I was like, it's so nice playing a game that has such an active player protection system. And it's like, this is not only not that, this is literally them building in an exploit and being like, yeah, maybe we'll continue to pay attention to people who are using it. I mean, it's just, it's disgusting how bad it is. Even on the Xbox, like, compared to, like, Call of Duty or Halo or Battlefield, the aim assist in those games aren't too bad because it generally just puts your cursor in the middle of your screen. It doesn't snap to the head or the body. It just guides your cursor up to the middle of the screen. But the aim assist in this game, for some reason, just puts it right on your forehead. Like,
that's so insane to me.
Insane. And it's because, like, even if your cursor is directly in the middle of your screen and aim assist kicks in, I've never seen your cursor go up to somebody's head, and it goes up straight to your head with aim assist. I don't get it.
More fun in crossplay.
Right. It's just going to encourage more people to not want to play.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people right now, like the two of you guys, debating about whether or not you're going to pick it up or where you're going to pick it up at. So right now, everyone that, like, is all pro exploit is like, you should definitely play this on PS4. And it's like, I guess, but the PC players have figured out a way that they can even exploit it worse. So fun stuff. Enjoy Destiny, people. Let us know how it is when it comes out. So I think that's everything we have for additional news this week. So we're powering right through this episode, guys. We're going to be moving right along into the main topic, which is digital versus physical. Charlie has a notepad full of notes over there, so I'm going to go ahead and let her take over.
It looks intimidating.
And lead the conversation. I'm just going to jump in here and be like, you suck.
Wow.
Rose, really, I just wrote down...
Should we take everyone's opinion first? What you guys each like?
Charlie, do you prefer digital or physical?
Personally, I prefer physical.
Okay. CJ, when you're buying a game, digital or physical?
I think right now, just because of the way how my Xbox is set up, I'd have to go digital.
Robin, digital or physical?
I have to say physical.
Yeah.
I fucking hate you.
I, for some reason, kind of prefer physical, but I think it's more practical at this point to go digital, and I enjoy my digital games more. I realized that just now. Earlier today, Robin wanted to play Mario Kart, and Mario Kart is only playable on one of the TVs in the loft, so I unplugged my hard drive and moved it over to her Xbox, plugged it in, was able to just play. I could do that with a physical copy. I just have to get the disc.
Mario Kart?
I'm sorry,
No.
Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah, it's because
So,
I wanted to play Mario Kart.
I moved my Shadow of Mordor to her Xbox, but it was super easy just unplugging my hard drive and plugging the other one in, and I didn't have to go get a disc or any of that nonsense,
So moving a hard drive was easier than moving a disc?
Well, if you just move the disc, it would have to install to that hard drive.
But if you install with a disc, it
I
installs
see.
faster.
Yeah, but it still takes a long time, especially on Xbox.
Oh, man.
So it's just...
Especially on Xbox, I'm sorry.
When things are digital, it's just easier to switch between games.
Yeah.
Controversy.
That's what conversation breeds on Nerd Chills. Yay. Yeah. Keep going, Shirley.
I don't know, so I just wrote down pros and cons for digital versus physical. Do you want me to go over my list?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so for digital, you don't have a disc, which is nice in a lot of ways because you don't have to worry about damaging it, and you don't have to get up and put the disc in, which I think is a super dumb reason, but...
Well, I think you're super dumb.
A lot of people say it, and I understand it. Like, it's the same reason why you watch Netflix instead of grabbing the DVD you own, because it's just easier. It's one button. You have instant access to it, so it's really quick. It loads up quick. They sometimes have sales, although they don't have enough, in my opinion, because to me, the whole point of like PC, why PC has gone firmly digital, is because of the sales, and there just are never as many.
Yeah, there's only like Black Friday sales, which you can get out in the real world.
Yeah, they have sales every week, but it's like 10 games. There's no tax on digital, which is super nice. It saves you a little bit of money in the long run. And then, of course, on Xbox in particular, you can share your games. So if you want, you can give your gamer tag to your friend, like I did with Robin. I put my gamer tag on her system, and then she was able to play Tekken.
Yep.
Because I own that digitally. So you can share if you want. As far as physical goes, for my pros, I put faster install, because it really does make a difference, especially if you're buying Destiny day one and trying to download it with everybody else. It's going to be quite slow if it works at all.
Yeah, downloading and installing at the same time at least doubles the time.
Besides the fact that you already have to contend with the fact that you have to do an update. So like when I installed Wildlands, it installed really quick. It was probably like 30 minutes, but I had to do an 8 gigabyte update, which took hours. Which I know I have like the lowest. I was like, give me the cheapest internet.
Right.
But still, it sucked. You can't sell or give away digital, which they're actually working on ways of giving them away or gifting them, but you still can't get rid of it. You can't sell it. You can't do anything with it.
There's no resale value whatsoever.
Every great once in a while, we do have people that try to get rid of their old consoles, and they're like, well, what about all my digital games? And I'm like,
they're gone.
Like, goodbye.
But at the same time, if they get another console in the future, they'll be there for download.
Yeah, but if they're switching, or if they're never going to play those games again, then it's just like a waste.
I think the biggest problem when it comes to digital versus physical is Nintendo.
Yes, they are
because they're
in the
horrible.
past.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so if your Switch dies and you have nothing but digital, you're kind of screwed. You have to either find some way to do a like physical transfer if it's possible, or you have to contact Nintendo and make them move your stuff over. And even that might not be foolproof or seamless, and it may take days.
Yeah.
So most systems, it's not like that. PlayStation and Xbox obviously aren't like that. But on Switch and DS, it's awful. It doesn't require the internet, typically, when you're playing a physical game. Whereas on Xbox, it's going to most likely ask you for your license, in which case you're going to have to sign into your account. You don't have to have any account access to play a physical game. You can return it, or if you accidentally buy the wrong thing, you can try and resolve that with a physical retailer.
I will say you can return digital within a certain amount of time if you're unsatisfied.
On PC, you can.
You can do it on Xbox as well, because a lot of people did it on PlayStation as well with Friday the 13th because it was so broken when it released.
I did it.
Yeah, how long did you have, CJ?
I mean, I did it the same. I did it the same day I bought it, so I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure the rule is about 48 hours.
Well, I know Steam has a rule like you can't have played it more than an hour or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Steam's rule is a time-based rule for how long you've played the game. And depending on how new if it's a new game, there's absolutely no returns no matter what. If it's an older game, they'll let you do the returns.
I think the only game that they've made an exception for was Friday the 13th because the servers were really broken at the time, which is why they fixed the PC servers before any of the other servers. Because their install base was larger on PC and they're getting refunds.
An exception on their return policy if the game is just straight crap. Like if it's having a ton of problems and it can't cope, most people just give in because it's going to be better off in the long run for the company.
Did they set that as like? How do they communicate that? Like, I'm just wondering if you have to go through the rigmarole of contacting them and figuring out whether they'll do it for you.
For the Friday the 13th, I called them and I said I was wanting to get a refund on a game that I had purchased, and it's Friday the 13th, and it's because it is a known issue that the game creators have posted on several social media sites that they're having issues that are this, and this, with no expected fixed dates. And the person I talked to on Microsoft said, yeah, we've got a lot of calls about that today. We've been told just to refund the games per customer's request.
Okay, so it was like fairly easy.
I don't think they would ever come out and make a statement saying we're going to just refund everybody the game. But I think if the game is clearly having issues, that's not just beyond the fact, like, sadly, Adam's For Honor problem, like, then most companies will just give in.
I'm just wondering, like, to what extent you have to, like, what lengths you have to go to, because when you're comparing it to, oh, I had to take it all the way back down to the store, you could easily compare that to, I had to make a 30-minute phone call to Microsoft and ask them to make this exception for me. So it's still, like, time spent if you decide not to get rid of it.
Well, yeah, and it's not even guaranteed that they would even give it back to you.
Yeah, but at least, I mean, but if it's a game, if I had a disc copy of Friday the 13th versus digital copy, GameStop would have not have taken my disc copy back, no matter how bad that game was.
I actually took back some idiot's copy of Madden today because he claimed it wasn't working, when really it just didn't install fast enough for him, so it wasn't letting him get into areas that weren't installed yet. And I was like, you know what, retard? I'll go ahead and give you a controller instead. But I think you're dumb. And he was like, there's no tech support. What am I supposed to do?
There's no tech support.
Because I think PlayStation doesn't do weekend support.
Wow.
I'm not positive.
No, you're right, because I was going to call them.
Yeah.
I was just like, I guess I'll have to wait till Monday, but they're probably closed on Labor Day.
Yeah, it's because video games aren't emergencies. People don't realize that. But yeah, I think that people do make exceptions, because when you're standing in front of someone, it's hard to just give them that, like, absolutely no. Even though that guy was dumb.
That's hilarious. I will say the one thing that you did leave out of your pros for digital is that when you purchase it, you don't have to interact with another human being, and that is like vital for some people that don't want to see other human beings because they don't like them.
But then who do you blame when you don't like the game?
I blame God or my friend Lee. It's always their fault. But it's kind of funny because the convenience of buying something digitally is that you don't have to make the trip to the store.
Yeah.
And when you combine that with things like the fact that there is no sales tax, so it's $4.95 less or $4.85 or whatever the case may be for each game that you buy, it is nice. It does suck that it takes longer to download, but in some instances, like most Blizzard games, the day that the game is going to be releasing, they let you pre-install it, and you won't have access to actually play the game yet.
Yeah.
So that kind of combats the fact that it does take longer.
Forethought.
Yeah, if you have the forethought, if you're a gamer who actually wants something the second it releases, that's why they started doing the rolling release, is because people that were able to preload their digital copy were able to start the moment the game released, while people on the other coast were still waiting for the stores to go live at midnight and stuff like that.
And also physical retailers can preload now, so they can sell you the code for Destiny already, and you can go home and pre-install it. The other thing that I don't like about digital as far as new releases goes is the pre-order process. You don't really have the option, from what I've seen, to cancel pre-orders through Xbox or PlayStation. Usually you'd have to contact them, and even then I'm not sure it's 100% possible.
Do you have to prepay fully if you do it? That fucking sucks.
You prepay fully.
You have to prepay. So I've actually had 2 games that I've prepaid fully for on Xbox, and if you call them at least 48 hours before release, they'll refund it for you.
Okay, so you have to call them to cancel.
Yep.
Otherwise, there's no, I don't know, it frustrates me that you can't just, like, on your Amazon account, just look it up and be like, oh, still have a couple days, cancel. Like, that would be, to me, better, because there's no way to get your money back, and it usually doesn't prompt you. Like, I know PSN will prompt you if a game is pushed back. They're like, hey, do you still want this? They give you that option right there. But otherwise, it's really annoying to have to call to get a refund. That would frustrate me.
Right, it's true. For some instances where, like, we live in Las Vegas, and people will drive all the way from Pahrump, which is like an hour to an hour and a half long drive.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably easier for someone out there to purchase a game digitally than just to drive all the way out here. But I mean, if you're
Their internet also sucks.
Yeah, that's true. So if you're living in an area where it's a long drive, it might be a different story. I'm used to living like 10 to 15 minutes away from my local GameStop or any other brick and mortar retailer where you can actually just go in and purchase a game. I think one of the largest and most compelling arguments for buying physical copies of things is the fact that it does support the brick and mortar retailer, even if they don't make a lot of money on new games. If you're purchasing a pre-owned title, which you can't do, you can't purchase a pre-owned version of a digital game that's been out for a long time. It helps the business regardless of whether or not it's GameStop or any other place that sells a used game, and it keeps that store around. And most people want that store to go to. Like I was telling you, like I pre-ordered my Xbox One X Scorpio Edition on Amazon, but I really just want to come into your store and pre-order it. And you're like, why? Like, we're almost sold out. We only have a few left. So you're going to have to go in there in the morning, and then you're going to stand in line. I'm like, yeah, but I want to be around the excitement of other people who are getting the same thing I'm getting, and having, like, that little, like...
Community?
The community of it, yeah. I stood outside your store waiting to pre-order my Switch. and it was like 40 degrees and raining in Las Vegas. And I was like, this fucking sucks. And only 3 of us had the foresight to bring umbrellas, and I was one of them. And like there were people just standing around, and we're all like huddled under 3 umbrellas like next to each other, and we were all just like unspokenly agreeing that we remembered where we were standing. But yeah, the way that you can support, like if I want to just open up a fucking video game store and do what GameStop does and just sell, like there's stores back home where I'm from, like Disc Replay, where you can just go in there and sell your game for cash, and then they sell it, and it's like you can find a lot of good games there. Excuse me, a lot of good games there from older generations, which is super cool because like GameStop is starting to get into the retro gaming thing. But there's places like in Las Vegas, like We Play Games, where you can do the same thing. You can go in there and you can buy like the original Pokemon Blue, and it'll cost you a lot of money. But also, if you have it, you can go in there and trade it in, and that's not something you're like ever going to be able to do with any form of digital media. Like you're just kind of stuck with it. Yeah. As much as it's convenient, because I don't have to talk to a human, which I hate doing, and I don't have to get up off the couch to change games, which I hate doing. It's like, is it really worth it? Yeah, it all comes down to instant gratification and how lazy am I as a gamer, which is extremely.
Honestly, once they get sales under control, it'll be like music. Like things will go way down in price, and developers and companies will make less, so hopefully that won't mean more DLC or paid content, but they'll have to figure out a way to make that money somehow. But once they can figure out how to have things consistently be on sale or make digital games less expensive, then people will go digital. Like, that's inevitable. It's just more convenient. But right now, I just don't think they're incentivizing it enough. Like, I'm going to make them work a little bit harder for my business.
Yeah, I agree. I know CJ, he has the thing where he does game sharing digitally, and I don't know what that's like. CJ, when you do game sharing, what exactly occurs?
So, you and the person you're game sharing with sign into each other's accounts, go into the settings, and there's a setting called My Home Xbox, and you click that, and you set it to make this person's account My Home Xbox, so it basically transfers what on the 360 is your content licensing. So if you're signed into your account, no matter which Xbox in the entire world you're playing on, if you download a game that you have bought under your name, you can play on that profile only. But if you give someone your licensing right, anyone on that Xbox that your gamertag is connected to can play it. So me and my buddy I have that does it with me, pretty much every game, if we decide we want to get it, we just split it down the middle, 30-30, and one of us purchase it. So at that point, it just becomes a matter of making sure our Xboxes are always linked, because if they're not, we both lose out on some games. It also really helps because only one of us has to have Xbox Live. So I have, like, my Xbox Live goes to like 2022, so he hasn't had to buy any Xbox Live membership in the past like 3 years we've done this. So it's really convenient. It lets you get games for a lot cheaper, which is nice. You do have to have somebody that you kind of trust, because like I have my card information on my account, so he could just sign in at any time and kind of be a dick and just start buying stuff. But I know he won't do that, and he knows I won't do that either. So
yeah, and this is only really possible with purchasing digitally, because if you do purchase a disc version, then it's always going to ask you to insert the disc to play.
Of course.
Yep. Although there are one downside to it that we're starting to find out. Every game works, but some additional content, especially with so far one game that's done it consistently has been Call of Duty, and I think it's Activision that's stopping it, because Destiny did it too. All the extra stuff goes onto the person's account who actually owns the game.
Wow.
The other person can just play the game, or anyone can play the game, but the actual special content, whether it be the guns or the in-game extra items, that kind of stuff, stays on the person's account who purchased the game originally.
I kind of wonder how Microsoft justifies that, because if it becomes a really popular thing, which I already know a lot of people bring it up that they do it, they share with their friends. I wonder how Microsoft justifies that to developers, because it's really hurting them more than Microsoft.
Your game for the price of one sale.
Yeah, like Microsoft, they're like, great, people want to play on Xbox, people are buying Xboxes, people, like, I mean, it hurts their Xbox Live, subscribers, but that's about it.
I wonder if that's why they have such problems bringing on third-party developers. It's because they're like, you kind of fuck our sales numbers over pretty hard, so...
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. I didn't even think about how many people, like, how many sales
I would just like to see... I'd like to see how many people are actually doing it before I would kind of start to think that there's Wow, what am I trying to think of?
No one knows.
I don't know. I mean, I would like to see the numbers behind it so I could see if it's actually really, truly affecting it. Because every time I bring it up to somebody who plays Xbox, they don't know what I'm talking about. They go, "What do you mean game sharing? Like, is that like sharing your clips and stuff?" I was like, "No, it's like sharing your games with your friend." And no one ever really knows about it, so I have to sit there and explain it to them, and then I give up about halfway through because most people are idiots.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize everything they can share. Probably most people figure it out through, like, their household. But I think that there's probably enough people that's making a dent. Not a huge, ridiculous dent, but enough for developers to be like, hey, we missed out on probably at least a few thousand sales of this game
At
because
least a few.
Your system lets you share it around all willy-nilly.
All willy-nilly. Yeah, it would be really interesting to see the metrics behind game sharing and see, because each person, it's completely consumer beneficial and completely creator detrimental. So if you're an indie developer and you're releasing something, and it's very possible for two people to play it for the price of one, yeah, that sounds great for the person buying it. But if you're trying to show someone what your sales numbers look like and they've been like hacked in half in certain portions of it, that really does fucking suck. Yeah. So, interesting conversation. I'm glad we had this as our main topic. It made me think of the argument of pre-ordering or not pre-ordering, because there's a lot of people that are anti-pre-ordering. And I think just because of our GameStop background, we're all very much like, why the fuck wouldn't you pre-order?
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to do some reading up on the anti-pre-order side of things and pretend to be a douche for a day at least. Don't laugh.
What? You're a douche every day, all day.
I hate you every day, all day. How about that? But that'll be a really fun one to do. However, for anyone that's listening out there, just go ahead and let us know what you prefer, digital or physical, and why. It'll be really interesting to see. You can let us know on facebook.com/nerdchillspodcast.
And also if you could let us know whether you think Tom Hiddleston or Chris Hemsworth is more attractive.
There is a correct answer on that one. You can also tweet at us at nerd_chills. You can email the show at nerdchills@nerdchills.net, just like Lucas did to deliver us his top 7. Good job, Lucas. And then you can go ahead, if you wanted to get at me, tweet at me at the Adam Diaz. You can email me at maylum, MAYLUM, at nerdchills.net. If I'm streaming, it'll be on Twitch TV/Maylum. I think that's all my stuffs. Yeah, you can also give the show money on Patreon, which we do really, really appreciate. And then I think that is about it for our show and myself. CJ, if the fine folks wanted to find you, where could the fine folks find you?
My input on the Tom Hiddleston, Chris Hemsworth thing, I personally don't choose one, but whichever one of them puts their money behind bringing Scalebound back.
Oh my god.
I don't think
it has to be once an episode, man.
Once an waste of money.
That's true. We almost went an entire episode without Scalebound. Now my heart
bleeds again. Why don't you just kickstart that shit?
We should do it for them and then just keep all the money.
Yeah.
Both of them obviously listen to our podcast because we're all such amazing people. Yeah. So whichever one of them wants to get that game back and going, you'll have my vote.
Right on. And again, with the fine folks finding you, where can they do the fine folks finding you?
Twitch, Twitter, my email, it's all Sacred Infinity. The email is sacredinfinity@nerdchills.net, which I know I have an email, or I guess not. We're going to do that later, so I don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to figure out how to get that email on my phone so I can respond to it, and we'll be good.
Right on. Charlie, if the fine folks wanted to find you, where could the fine folks find you?
So let me just reiterate that if you like digital games and you like Chris Hemsworth, you could just say you're an Adam.
Yeah, that works.
If you like physical games and you like Tom Hiddleston, you can just say you're a Charlie. So that'll just make it real easy.
Or Robin. I think Robin and Charlie are on board with that.
Ooh, so
Tom Hiddleston?
Yeah.
All right.
So cute.
I hate you both.
And as far as finding me, I'd prefer you didn't, but if you do, it's on Twitter at Charlie with an EY_NC as in Nerdchills.
Awesome. And Robin, you were filling out an order today for your Etsy shop.
Oh, yeah.
So where can the fine folks find that stuff?
All social media platforms, pretty much, at the Robin Grace.
And your Etsy shop?
It's Robin's Kawaii Corner.
Cool. I know you had a giant, like, 12-inch size Deadpool made out of perler beads that was, like, cel-shaded and looked super awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was probably my favorite thing that you did.
Yeah, you still have that somewhere.
I think I do, yeah. So go ahead and check out that stuff. She's been doing custom orders as well. So if you guys want to ask for something, go for it. If you guys want Nerd Chills pins or anything like that, feel free to request it. We might just send it to you for free if you email the show. We've done that about 10 times now, so
Oh shit.
we'll keep it going. But I think that's it for the episode. I think I did the sign out last week, so I'm going to go ahead and let Charlie do it. So Charlie, go ahead and sign us out for the week.
Everyone take a chill pill, play some Destiny, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.